Uh, welcome, welcome. Get some water. Another day, another dollar. No, another day, another day to wrap our heads around what's happening, um, and to just form something. Put our imagination together and talk about the absurdities of our culture. I'm almost done with my first sort of diary book that I'm working on, and I'm literally on the last page, and I've been just kind of filling it as I don't know. I've been working through it. Sorry, I was kind of trying to um, I think as an artist or creative or a writer, you really have to distinguish the meaning you find and the meaning you give. Excuse me. And how we perceive ourselves amongst giving the meaning or just finding the meaning in our lives, in our day to day existences. And I guess that's been the trick of my life so far, is really just like finding something to really to take my mind instead of like leaving me with my mind constantly thinking. Because I find a lot of what the world has to offer is this constant reinforcement of thanking and returning to like this meaning that was set by culture and by society and civilization. Um, I read this, I guess, yesterday as my last entry, um, and I didn't even like mean to like coexist with what I titled this, but I wrote, "Remember to open the pages and feel into them. Step into the many worlds." I'm getting kind of the feeling to just flip through all my ideas throughout this past year. Random page. This one, this is an interesting page. I wrote a few different things on here that I think are interesting. But I wrote, art isn't always speaking to you along the lines of good and bad, or what sounds happy or evil or sad. It is much more abstract in the entirety of the feeling. I also wrote, meaning over words. And then I wrote, perimeters of thought. Thought created perimeters. a lot of what I do and kind of when I write is really just kind of I try to I try to get the reader to think and to go beyond thinking as well. Kind of get you into those deep thoughts, those deep talks with someone or yourself, and then to me, you eventually find yourself repeating these thoughts and then coding them with new words to justify it. And I guess beyond habits, beyond your habits of thinking or be habits of life in general, is another world that is beyond your current perception. And I wrote this as well. I go, conflicting worldviews builds new ones. And if other people have said these things, that's okay, because that's exactly what is happening in the world. Is we've lost a lot of our touch with a lot of the arts and a lot of the great writers and thinking or thinkers. Um, I wrote, there are worlds beyond being awake or asleep. This is kind of stepping into a new realm of thought, but I wrote, television, an insidious mind altering drug, a beautiful visionary opera attached to an ancient gallery. Hmm. 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 Sorry, it's weird reading my own writing. I know these are very different. Um, I'm not talking, but this is interesting. The mental matrix versus the physical matrix, the great redistributor of ideas. The digital library holds all information, but information is the weapon because it holds the access point. The access point is a weapon. I'm curious if I wrote more about access points. I did. Access points, I think, are very, I mean, they've definitely been talked about, but I guess I'll just read and then kind of see where my mind goes. And then I think I'm just going to leave on this topic that involves, accessing the many worlds. You're going to find yourself realizing that everything is genuinely connected in some sense, not in a literal language meaning sense, but in some sense of just like it's all human expression. And sometimes you need to test the limits of it, not be hateful and have anger, but you have to test the limits, test the boundaries of your participants. But I write, the downloading of culture into this access point, money equals freedom in the eyes of the culture. Access points tainted with agents of chaos. These agents are not lawfully abided, but they are the gatekeepers to freedom. Freedom to think beyond form. And I added, a certain formation of words can unlock many matrices. And then I write, Many think there is no magic because they are downloaded into a matrix. And then I think I'm just gonna, yeah, I'll read this. Um, Sorry. The illusion is the access point. You have to go under a spell to understand the illusion in which to manipulate you into believing. A paid change of environment to do what you do at home in a new illusion, a new environment. This access point gets painted in many different ways. This complexification of processes stagnates a comprehensive understanding. If the processes are seemingly infinite, but the belief of the novel experience is an illusion, a business model to complexify the understanding into an access point. I think I could have wrote forms a business model to complexify the understanding into an access point. Sometimes I don't even fully understand what I'm writing while I'm writing it, and that's kind of, I think that's a big part of art and expression. Is I think when you begin to contemplate many worlds, many coexisting perceptions and access points, I think when you're stuck and downloaded into these access points, or you're forcibly in a matrix and you have to access an access point to like leave or to gain information, um, you you don't cease to exist, but you have to download your thoughts into a certain mold constantly. And habits create our existence. Habits of thought. Addiction creates our existence. You know, addictions to thought, addictions to form, addictions to language. The way I phrase this last part is interesting. If the processes are fuck. If the processes are seemingly infinite, but the belief of the novel experience is an illusion, a business model forms to complexify the understanding into an access point. I'm going to alter the forms. If I'm going to read it again just so I can try to understand it, but if the processes are seemingly infinite, but the belief of the novel experience is an illusion, it forms a business model to complexify the understanding into an access point. Hmm. I think what I am getting from this is that the processes, I'll exchange that word for like models of systems or businesses, and models and systems and formations of groups. I think what I'm getting is that when there's a complexification of these things, there tends to be a stagnating, comprehensive understanding of each and every model that is presented to us now. And I think with especially electric communication, electric screens, these processes are seemingly infinite. And we can find ourselves believing in many different things. I think also when I say the belief of the novel experience is an illusion, is kind of talking about a story, like a hero's journey sort of archetype that we all, not all, but I think that most kind of fall into. Um, that in itself forms a model, a business model, if you will, to complexify the understanding of kind of it complexifies the understanding of the systems and how many and what they're all saying into an access point itself, where you can redistribute multiple different access points while never kind of believing in one yourself. And what I just said is kind of the in my mind, the model of thinking behind these electric companies, these governments, these higher tech sort of people is that they are redistributing all ideas into one thing. And that one thing is the screen. I can literally look up anything. I can justify my world via anything. Wouldn't that make the screen the book that holds the word? What book? What words? That's the game. That's the access point. That's the complexification of all the fucking systems and processes. I love the mind and coming into terms with it. Right. Keep writing. I love you all.